Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to today's Caffeine for the Soul. And today I wanted to begin with a quote from Sid Banks. Many of you, if you're regular listeners, you know I quote Sid Banks incessantly. He was a Scottish mystic whose work and particularly his articulation of the three principles of mind, consciousness, and thought has been a huge influence on me and my work. And it's just a very short quote. Love and understanding harmonize the mind of humanity to its true inner nature. I'm going to read it again. Love and understanding harmonize the mind of humanity to its true inner nature. Now, ever since I've been a part of the principles community, the Inside Out community, I've noticed that some practitioners, teachers, coaches really emphasize the feeling, the love part of love and understanding. And others really emphasize the understanding part of understanding. And I've always found it interesting that I was very much somebody who led with the understanding for a long time because I'm a very intellectual kind of a guy. My brain works that way. But what drew me and impacted me was the feeling. And I've gone 180 degrees on that. I still love to explore the understanding. And I'll say more about what I mean by that as we go. But I'm far more interested in the love. I'm far more interested in the feeling of the conversation. I use the example sometimes of being in a conversation with somebody about this is like soaking in a hot tub of peace and love and good feeling. In a way, it doesn't matter what you talk about, because the hot tub is doing the work. It's relaxing your muscles. It's loosening you up. It's actually, in this case, much more than a regular hot tub because it's also filling you up with good feelings and it's presencing you to the moment and the possibilities of the moment, and it's opening your mind, literally widening your aperture so that you can see more and see different than how you've been seeing. Somebody, a client, actually said to me during an intensive recently that the big insight that he'd had is the feeling is so important because the feeling is us. That feeling, that nice feeling, is our nature. That sense of love and of peace. And at times of joy and bliss. That's us. That's a part of us. I'll often say that's both the goal and the path. We want to find that feeling. We want to live in that feeling because that feeling is us. But it's also the path is to live from the nicer feeling. We do better and we see more when we're in that nicer feeling. Now, that doesn't mean the understanding isn't important. And here's the understanding in an oversimplified nutshell. We live in the feeling of our thinking, but who we are is before thought. So our experience of life is actually an experience of our own thinking projected into consciousness and then experienced through the five senses as though it's an outside-in experience. But in fact, it's inside out. It is thought creating experience and then us experiencing that thought-created experience in the body. And if we don't understand that, then we interpret our moments of incredible well-being and peace to circumstances, to whatever's going on around us, to, oh, I've got such a beautiful home, or thank goodness I have a meditation practice, or I am able to go to a quiet place, or But the flip of that is on those days where we aren't able to do our practice, or our home has kids running around in it because we're all quarantined together, or the things we are used to attributing our well-being to get sick and maybe even die. Well, if we don't understand that's an inside-out experience, we're at the mercy of circumstances. We constantly have to be on guard against our circumstances changing, which is difficult to do because A, circumstances change, and B, we don't control circumstances. Within a very limited range, maybe we can, but it's a very limited range, and that control does not extend to the immortality of the body. And it does not extend to the vagaries of economics and recessions and depressions and all the things, booms and busts, the cycles of economic well-being. But when our personal well-being is independent of economic well-being, because it's our nature, it's independent of circumstances because we don't feel circumstances, we feel thought. Then we don't have to be scared of changing times. We can be present to changing times. We can be responsive to changing times. One of the best-selling books of the last 20 years was a little parable called Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. And it's a very simple story. These mice are running around in a maze and the cheese has always been in the same place, and suddenly the cheese isn't there anymore. And some of the mice just keep going to the same place every time and going, who moved my cheese? What's going on? And they're victims of the cheese moving. And one of the other mice just goes, I'm just going to go see if I can find cheese elsewhere. And that ability to respond well, that responsibility in maybe a true sense of the word, is built into us if we understand how things actually work. If we understand that we have a real-time responsive intelligence, that's the nature of the mind, that who we are is before thought, it's beyond thought. It's the space within which thought arises. And that we're thinkers. We're both the thinker and that which is aware of thought, that which experiences thought. So we're the thinker and the observer of thought. We're the experiencer and the observer of experience. And all we're ever experiencing is our own nature, love, peace, and the feeling of our thinking, moment by moment by moment. That understanding stops us from having to be superstitious about why we feel well and trying to preserve that. It stops us from making up reasons that we're miserable when we're miserable. It takes away the fear. And it lets us rest in present, rest in love, rest in peace. So love and understanding really are all we need, because love is who we are, and understanding that wakes us up to the fact that we already have everything we thought we needed. Have fun, learn heaps, and I'll talk with you soon.